An update from the 6 Mile police chase this weekend. We have the body cam footage. The gunman from the subway attack has been arrested, and $800 million are being sent to Ukraine for war aid. This is OU Nightly. Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Kolby Terrell.
And I'm Jessie Klinger. Tonight we bring you updates from a 6 Mile police chase that ended fatally. The incident happened Thursday night, and Norman police have now released the body cam footage from the scene. Abbi Bennett is live from the Norman Police Department. Abbi.
Around 8:45 p.m. at Alameda and 12th Avenue, Norman police were patrolling and located a felon wanted for his role in a domestic disturbance, which later led to a dangerous car chase and shooting. The video you are about to see, provided by Norman PD, may cause some disturbance for viewers. The video you are seeing is the first time the individual was stopped in his car on 60th Avenue and Highway 9. Police attempted to contact the occupants in the car, but they continued to get away and impacted one officer patrol's vehicle. As officers commanded the occupants a second time, James Morrison, the individual identified, stepped out of his car with a firearm and began to fire at the officers. 4 Norman PD returned fire, and Morrison passed away due to sustained injuries. Only one of the people in the car was treated and released for injuries, and the other one was uninjured. Reporting outside the Norman Police Department, Abbi Bennett, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Abbi. And now we bring you the latest update from the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Today, President Joe Biden called Russia's actions as genocide for the first time. The Pentagon announced $800 million in aid for Ukraine as well. In Ukraine, presidents of Poland, Lithuania, and Estonia went to show their solidarity. In addition, Ukraine has detained a fugitive Ukrainian oligarch, Viktor Medvedchuk, as he proposed a prisoner swap. The detainee is a former leader of a pro-Russian opposition party and a close associate of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
And back here in the U.S., a suspect has been arrested in connection with the New York subway bombing. Romelo Woodfork has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world.
Thanks, Kolby. The New York patrol officers arrested a man today in connection with the Brooklyn subway shooting. Officers arrested 62-year-old Frank James after the shooter tipped off authorities, which led to his own arrest. He has been charged in Brooklyn federal court for violating a law that prohibits terrorism and other violent attacks against mass transport systems. The attack left 29 people injured and 10 shot. The New York City Commissioner Key Chant Sowell says she hopes this arrest will bring solace to the victims and citizens of New York.
We used every resource at our disposal to gather and process significant evidence that directly links Mr. James to the shooting. We were able to shrink his world quickly. There was nowhere left for him to run.
The motive for the shooting is still unknown. Across the pond, the Austrian Chancellor met with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss the war in Ukraine. The Chancellor arrived in Russia after first visiting Ukraine. He is facing criticism from Europeans and Ukrainians for the visit to Moscow, but the Chancellor says he met with Putin to confront him for what he saw while he was there. The Chancellor is encouraging other European leaders to do the same. 2 men are facing more than 14 years in prison for the bombing of an Islamic center in Bloomington, Minnesota. 33-year-old Michael McWater and 26-year-old Joe Morris were sentenced Tuesday. Their charges included firearm violations, arson, the use of a destructive device, and federal civil rights violations. The attack took place in 2017, and both men pled guilty in January of 2019. Jessie, this week, longtime comedian Gilbert Gottfried died of a long-time illness. His final act was an Instagram post inviting people to weigh in on the slap. Back to you.
Thanks, Romelo. We have seen multiple variants of coronavirus hit the U.S., but now the Omicron variant has developed a new subvariant known as BA2. OU Nightly's Maddie Didario looks into how this subvariant is affecting the U.S. as well as the rest of the world.
The most recent variant of COVID, Omicron, has now developed its own subvariant.
So it's called a subvariant because it's related to the previous Omicron, but it is a subvariant and its name is BA.2.
What's most interesting about this new subvariant? The USA is seeing far lower infection rates compared to European and Asian countries.
It's more contagious than the Omicron variant, which was the most contagious we'd ever seen before that. And so it does spread very, very easily. And that's what's happening in Europe.
OU's chief COVID officer, Dr. Bratzler, explains why BA2 is spreading so quickly, and the answer may surprise you.
And it's largely because they did so much to protect their population from infection, and they were using vaccines that were less effective. They saw big outbreaks.
But the concept that taking stronger precautions in the past has led these countries to higher infection rates than the U.S. is not as clear-cut as it sounds.
If you look at the U.S. data, it's taking over in our country, but also in Oklahoma. We're not doing nearly as much testing, however, as we used to do. And so we're not identifying those big case numbers because people just aren't getting tested.
Though the U.S. has lower infection rates, in light of the new subvariant, the CDC announced today that they will be extending their federal transportation mask mandate 15 more days. OU Nightly, Maddie D'Addario.
To stay up to date on the BA2 subvariant and other general COVID-19 information, visit the coronavirus tab on the official CDC website.
Well, it's a beautiful sunny day outside, but it is a bit cooler than it was yesterday.
Yeah, it really is a little chilly outside. Mikayla Smith joins us live. Mikayla, what's it like out there right now?
It's a bit on the chillier side, but we dodged the severe weather potential yesterday. Now we had a cold front that moved through early this morning. So it definitely dropped our temperatures just a little bit, sitting around 20 to 30 degrees cooler across the state than where we were this time yesterday. But that's partially due to that cold front we saw this morning, but also the winds are pretty gusty out of the northwest. We can see across the state winds 15 to 20 mile-an-hour gust. So definitely a windier day today here in Norman. So it's making us just a bit cooler. So we can see those wind gusts are going to have elevated fire days continuing again today, tomorrow, and Friday. And then I'll also coming up have a look at your Easter forecast and the potential for a freeze warning in parts of Oklahoma tonight. But I'll have all that and more coming up. Jessie, Kolby.
Thanks, Mikayla. OU's landscaping department has seen major budget cuts in recent years. Despite those setbacks, Mack uncovers what part landscaping plays in attracting new students to OU.
Students pass by OU's landscaping team every day, working hard
40 hours a week, definitely.
and keeping campus in shape. But how much does this work affect new student recruitment?
Environment does play a really big role in having tours. A lot of feedback we receive from guests as well is just how beautiful the campus is.
One of the things about campus that really draws students in is the ability of this campus and the way they set it up and the work they put into it to foster the moments that students have together. And without the work put in, they wouldn't see the community students have when they come to OU.
In 2017, landscaping suffered over $80,000 in budget cuts.
We were not in control of our budget, landscape.
And experienced several layoffs in 2018.
We're still losing people. A lot of people have retired that we haven't replaced yet. But we're on an upswing now.
But longtime OU Gardener Tammy Mitchell has optimism under OU's new president, Joseph Harris.
It made us stop and think of how we were doing things, how to improve how we're doing things.
After 26 years of maintaining OU's image, Mitchell says she's loved every day of it.
It doesn't change the way I like the job, though.
She says, in the end, she does it for the students. Mack, OU Nightly.
Mitchell says the budget has not been restored, but remains hopeful for increased support in the future.
And Norman residents will be happy to hear one of a recent road closures reopening.
We'll give you a rundown of how drivers will be allowed to use that road when we return.
Plus, find out about a new product that aims to keep communities clean from trash, coming up. The Imhoff Bridge, located between Berry and Walnut Road, is no longer blocked off to traffic. As of yesterday, April 12th, the bridge is available for two-way traffic while construction continues. The City of Norman says that the one lane may be closed for a few hours a day, and traffic guides will be present to guide travelers safely to the other side of the bridge.
In Oklahoma, high-speed winds tend to happen a lot. OU Nightly's Ben Thomas shows us how one Norman native may have solved an issue many of us face when those winds come sweeping down the plains.
Strong winds are a problem in Oklahoma, and trash cans are no exception to it. Wind causes the lids to open up, making your trash cans fall over and your trash to fly around.
It's a big issue. I've lived here a little over 5.5 years, and that's one of the first things I noticed when I moved here, the containers on the ground.
Tony Chapman, the inventor of the heavy handle, came up with a solution. He constructed a product to combat the heavy winds and keep your trash cans closed. Chapman came up with the idea after noticing a neighbor's idea that he thought could be better.
I saw somebody put a cinder block on top of a garbage can lid to keep it down, and I thought that's pretty dangerous, and so I thought there's got.
We apologize for the technical difficulties, but if you're interested in purchasing the Heavy Handle to help save your trash cans, you can visit their website at theheavyhandle.com.
And the Gender and Equality Center held a healthy body image workshop today on campus.
Find out how the event is creating healthy habits coming up.
And Mikayla, how come we didn't see any of the predicted severe weather last night?
Yes, we definitely didn't see it, so we have clear skies now, but I'll come and time that out for other places that have severe weather and just give you the scientific reasoning why we didn't have those storms last night coming up next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. We can see a pretty clear sky across the Oklahoma City metro. Here's that skyline view. Not a cloud in the sky, sitting in the 60s, so much cooler than where we were yesterday. Those winds are out of the north now, and that's thanks to that system that we had yesterday that was supposed to be bringing us our possible severe weather. We didn't see it then, but take a look at our temperatures across the area. Sitting a bit warmer down for the southern parts of the area, but 55 in Guymon. So definitely a very chilly day to be in April. Here's a look at that 24-hour temperature change. 20 degrees cooler here in Norman, but almost 40 degrees cooler in Woodward. So definitely chilly, and we can see that's thanks to that system that moved through. We didn't see any severe weather here in Oklahoma, but it's definitely cranking out quite a bit of severe weather near Memphis and parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, that area. So they are under this risk right here. This is this SPC day 1, a moderate risk that extends for the Mississippi River Valley. And here's a look at their tornado forecast as well. We can see a 15% risk, and this is also a hatched risk area. So definitely a high tornado day for them there. So if you know anybody there, maybe give them a heads up. But what kept us from seeing tornadoes here yesterday? So we'll get a little sciencey here for a second. So what is the cap? So we have an inversion. That was what was in our atmosphere yesterday. So we had cooler air at the surface, but then we had this warmer layer of air that was above us. So when clouds and parcels try to rise, and they rise, they need to go into a cooler atmosphere. But when we have that warmer layer, everything kind of diminishes. So when we break the cap, that's when we have a lot of surface daytime heating. And then when our ground layer gets warmer than our air above, it gets rid of that area. We break the cap, and then that's what lets storms go off. So yesterday, our cap was very strong. So that's why we didn't even see any rain across Oklahoma. Early this morning, we had a slight line of storms that kind of moved through just south of the Tulsa metro. Some areas picked up a decent amount of rain. McAllister had a little bit over an inch of rain. But now with this cooler weather, we are still talking winter advisories. We can see this is a freeze warning that's in effect, Tulsa metro including, and then all in this area. That's until 9 a.m. tomorrow. And then a frost advisory, that's going to be for parts of eastern Oklahoma as well. So I hope you didn't plant any of your plants yet because, well, it's going to be pretty chilly. We can see evening planner here, though, in Norman, going to be in the 60s. Plenty of sunshine. Those winds staying out of the north will drop down by 9 o'clock, being in the 50s. So maybe grab a jacket if you head out, have any evening plans. But here's your 2-day forecast. Sunshine the next few days. We're warming up. Showers possible in eastern Oklahoma tomorrow. But then here is a look at that weekend Easter forecast, 70s. And then we're talking about the next chance of rain going to be next week.
Thanks, Mikayla. And do you even lift? Well, if you do, the Gender and Equality Center wants to make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. The GEC's Men Valuing Progress program hosted the Do You Even Lift Healthy Body Image workshop today at Sarkey's Fitness Center, with the presentation focusing on healthy nutrition and workout habits, as well as tackling the larger issues of positive body image for students here on campus.
I've been looking for spaces where I can, talk about masculine, talk about sports, talk about how to be myself. Recently invested in fitness, talk about that. So MVP to me is just everything that I've been thinking I wish I had while I was in college. And so hopefully, there's a freshman that'll come to one of these and find the thing that he needs like I did.
MVP will be hosting a sneakers and social justice open conversation with Dr. Rodney Bates next Tuesday in the Memorial Union.
And OU baseball was hitting home runs left and right against Texas Tech yesterday, Jessie.
And Brooklyn Sweet is here to tell us all about it in sports.
That's right. OU hit it out of the park last night with their win over Texas Tech. And number 1, OU women's gymnastics makes their 21st appearance at the NCAA championship tomorrow. Stick around because sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Brooklyn Sweet, and it's time for sports. We start today out on the diamond where OU baseball outslugged the Red Raiders 14-9. The Sooners fired 5 home runs, and both Brett Squires and Blake Robertson notched 5 hits to take down number 4 Texas Tech last night. Squires went 5 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 home runs, and Robertson hit 3 RBIs and a homer. Tomorrow night, the Sooners will take on the Pacific Tigers at home at 6:30. Yesterday, OU women's golf finished their regular season at the Bruzzy for tying 9th place. Maria Fernanda Martinez led the Sooners with a 2-under-70 and shot 3 birdies on the back 9, finishing in a tie for 20th. Moving forward, the Sooners look to the postseason and the Big 12 Stroke Play Championship April 22nd through 24th in Houston. The wait is over. Tomorrow, number 1 Oklahoma women's gymnastics competes in the NCAA championship to fight for their 5th national title. The Sooners secured the top spot at the Norman Regional with an overall 198.250 earlier this month. The ladies will compete against Utah, Alabama, and Minnesota, with the top 2 teams advancing to the NCAA 4 on the floor Saturday afternoon. After a clean sweep series against Texas Tech, OU softball treks into enemy territory for the Red River rivalry. Against the Red Raiders, the Sooners put up 21 runs in 5 innings, and pitchers Jordan Ball and Nicole May combined on OU's 6th no-hitter of this season. The bats will start swinging in Austin tomorrow at 6.
A lot of the memories come from games in Texas specifically. There's just an energized, loud, abrasive crowd, and so your team can either panic and be afraid of that or intimidated, or bow up, and the Sooners have had a history of bowing up in those big situations.
Last night, history was made on the diamond for the San Francisco Giants. After coach Antoine Richardson was ejected from the game in the bottom of the 3rd, assistant coach Alyssa Nacken was brought out for the big moment. Nacken coached first base for the Giants, making her the first woman ever to make an on-field appearance in an MLB regular season game. The man, the myth, the legend, Bob Stoops is returning to the sidelines as one of 8 new head coaches in the XFL. Stoops coached the Dallas Renegades back in the shortened 2020 season. Along with Stoops, former NFL coaches Wade Phillips and Jim Haslett are among some of the big names returning to the league for the 2023 season. I can tell you now, I'll be tuning in to watch Big Game Bob kick it off for his return in 2023. Kolby and Jessie, back to you.
I can watch anything that has Bob Stoops in it. Thanks, Brooklyn. And one candy store in Utah is prepping for Easter weekend in a big way.
Find out exactly how big coming up.
I'm Cameron Joyner at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Russia imposed sanctions on 398 members of the U.S. Congress today. The move is in retaliation to the U.S. blacklisting hundreds of Russian lawmakers last month. Further Russian countermeasures are in the works, according to Russian Foreign Ministry, including adding more Americans to the sanctioned list. Jessie, Kolby, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Cameron. Now, Kolby, I'm a fan of chocolate, but I don't think I could eat 8 pounds of it.
I don't think anybody could, and I couldn't either. But if you're up to the challenge, definitely check out the Bluebird Candy Factory in Utah.
The candy store is selling a chocolate Easter bunnies that weigh in at 8.05 pounds, selling for $130.
And whatever they don't sell will be melted down and reused for other treats.
Now, Mikayla, for those who either want to spend their weekend eating a giant chocolate bunny or on an Easter egg hunt, what's the weather going to look like?
I'll do both. I want the, maybe not 8 pounds, but I'll take the chocolate bunny and the Easter egg hunt. But yes, happy Easter on Sunday. Here is a look at that forecast. A bit warmer here in Norman and Oklahoma City. You can see those winds will be out of the east and then shifting out of the north. We could see some possible rain earlier in the day, but then we'll clear out in the Tulsa just a bit on the cooler side. Could see a bit more showers there, but going to be a great Easter forecast. It wouldn't be Oklahoma without a little bit of rain on Easter. But yeah, check out this weekend and then we'll see 60s back next week, 70s, and we'll track more possible rain chances by next Wednesday.
Thanks, Mikayla, and thank you for watching OU Nightly.
We only have a few weeks left of live shows, so make sure to tune in every weekday at 4:30.
Have a good night.